but Jesus said you are mine. Oh, the enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me. Oh, yes, he did. The enemy thought he had me. Jesus said you are mine. The enemy.
Blessings, you all. So I want to talk about how I was initiated into witchcraft. When I first got initiated into witchcraft, it was something that I didn't have a complete understanding on first. And then I was very naive. I didn't have any knowledge on, how to do certain things in the kingdom of darkness. And it was like I was ushered into these things, right? But it was it was so deceptive how I started to see these numbers is what really drew me in. It was almost a pulling. Like it drew me in because I started seeing these numbers. It was the triple numbers that everybody see that sparked, that for me to start getting into these different things. And I started seeing these numbers. It was the 111s, the 222s, the 333s, the 444s. Every time I would look at the clock, and this is when I was obviously in the world, I would see these numbers. And then it was like a pulling, like it drew me in, it like deeply, and I wanted to know what these numbers is. And then one day I was like, all of a sudden, let me look up what these numbers mean, because I just keep seeing these numbers on this clock and I don't understand what it means. Let me just look it up. It was like my eyes was open, and then an awakening happened. And I started looking up these numbers, and what I seen was angel numbers. It's the first thing that I seen when I started looking these up. I was like, what it means to see 222 constantly. And then I would see them so much when I started looking the numbers up. It was when they started coming even more, like stronger and harder. And every single day I would be on Google looking up different things, number meanings, and what this number mean and what that number mean, and why is this happening now in my life? Like, where is this coming from? Like, every day it was like a consuming thing. Like, it was so consuming. It was almost like I was possessed to the point where I couldn't sleep. It was driving me crazy. And I would look up these numbers every single day. Videos, YouTubes, TikToks. Well, TikTok, I don't know if I was into TikTok then. TikTok wasn't a thing for me back then, but YouTube, Google, everything, looking up these numbers consistently. Like, I couldn't rest. It would literally drive me crazy because different things would just come and I would just look it up. Then it was to a point where I was getting sucked into conspiracy theories, where all these videos was being posted about different celebrities being in a cult and doing witchcraft and demonic things, and people being exposed, and all these different things that I was being sucked into, and it was slowly sucking me in, and it was so consuming. Like, my mind would not rest because I would consistently think about these things every single day. And then one night I went, like, I was researching. Not only did it lead me into those things, but then for some reason, out of nowhere, I just started looking up things, how to become a white witch, or what do you, like, I was just looking up these things. And it came from nowhere, not in the back of my head thinking, oh, I want to be a witch. No, because no. It just came from nowhere. And it was like I was being led by spirits. And I would look up these different things. These were just, certain things would just come up out of nowhere. And then I would look them up. And then I'll be intrigued. And then I would look things up, more things would come. I would look up more things. It was like certain things was just being like pushed to me so I can see these things and then look them up. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But then I would just be so consumed with these things and thinking about more things, and then how certain things will happen, or how certain things can be controlled, or how certain things will help me to manifest the things that I want in my life. But then that's when manifestation started coming in for me, and I wanted to start manifesting things. It was to a point where I got into the hurts in music. When you listen to music, the beats that they play in the music, the sound that you hear coming from the music, not the people singing, but the sound, the instruments, the rhythms, their hurts that's inside of them. That's how you produce music. And not even listen, it wasn't even the music that I was listening to. I would look up the actual hurts, like hurts for love. And I thought I would see the goodness out of it, when it really kept leading me down a dark path of deception. It kept leading me down a dark path of confusion. And I was so deceived and so naive. I had no idea and no clue what was happening in my life. And I thought it was something good. So then when I started listening to Hertz, I would listen to them at night. Before I go to bed, it would be different sounds that they have on YouTube that you play to go to bed, like mantras. I would listen to a lot of mantras. And when I started listening to mantras and the Hertz, um, that's when the doors to other spirits started opening up and coming into my life. Another thing, when I started listening to these Hertz and these mantras at night before I go to bed, before I started listening, before I started listening, and I wasn't listening to these things before, at night there would be no, activity. But when I started listening to these things at night, it was where now activity in the house would start to happen. Like different things, like you can feel presence, like a presence in the room. And some of the things that I felt was very unease, but then I ignored it. Some of the things, it was like almost like a vibration that I would feel. And then some things where I would hear noises throughout the house, or sometimes it would sound like doors are shutting, but no one is there. But I would ignore these things and think, oh, this is a good thing. I would want to keep playing them because in my mind then it was like, oh, now I'm getting these spirits attention. My goal back then was to get the spirits attention to come to me so that I begin to manifest these things in my life. So now, where I was at a point to where I realized, okay, now I'm getting these spirits attention. Now I'm gonna, start doing these things more. And then so it was a point where I got to where I started, you know, doing research on crystals. Now it was the crystals. Now that I thought, okay, now that I got these spirits' attention, and I started getting into crystals. Now that I have the crystals in the spirits with me, I have power. I can now manifest the things that I want in my life. Then I started looking up different things. It was just things that was being fed to me left or right. And then I would look at all these things up. It was so consuming. It was like I was under some type of force or some type of control that would send these different things to me to get me to look them up, and I would become so consumed with them. But then I started getting into these crystals, and I I used to spend at least $500 almost every 2 weeks. Or was it every week? I want to say $300 to $400, $300 to $400 maybe every week, almost, on crystals. I used to have so many crystals. It was ridiculous. And I would look these different things up about crystals and how to use crystals and how to manifest with crystals and what different crystals for. Is the crystal for protection? Is a crystal to attract love? Is a crystal to attract money? Is a crystal to attract wealth? Is a crystal to attract high frequency vibrations? Is a crystal for clarity? Is a crystal for focus? It's a crystal for everything. And I would get every single last one of these crystals and I would carry them around my pocket. It was certain crystals that I didn't carry around with me, but the ones that I carried the most was a clear quartz, and it was a black one. I can't remember the name of it. I think it was black something. It started with an O. Then the other one was pyrite. I used to carry that around. The clear quartz increased the other crystals that I would have frequency. So the clear quartz is what you use to increase the frequency of the other crystals that you have, so it can bring more power and more to you. So I would carry that one, and I would carry my protection crystal, and I would carry my pyrite crystal. Pyrite was a crystal that I used to attract wealth and money. I would carry those 3 crystals around me all the time. And then I started carrying a love crystal to attract, love frequencies to me. So when people are around me, they feel nothing but love, nothing but peace, nothing but, this atmosphere that I would carry was to, when you're around me, you will only feel love and peace. And it would change. It was to a point where not only will I will have the crystals, but I started buying these candles. And I started lighting these candles in the house. The candle for love, candles for money, candles for clarity, candles for all different things. Little and behold, I was opening up more doors, and then more things was just coming, and I was getting them and buying them and searching, researching, and doing all these different things. All these different things. And then I got into a point where the manifestation now part is when I started looking up how to manifest, write it down, make it plain. I started writing these things down, what I wanted to manifest down. And now I'm at this point where, okay, these spirits that are working with me is fully getting me engaged into full-blown witchcraft. That's, what I thought at the time. And now I know there's no witchcraft. There's only Godcraft. But at the time, I was doing things for the kingdom of darkness and not for God, the kingdom of, heaven. And all things was created by God. There is nothing that God didn't create. The devil did not create a thing. So the people that are going around here saying that crystals are evil, it is the intention behind you for the use of your crystal. Why are you buying that crystal? What is the purpose of that crystal? What are you using that crystal for? Crystals itself was created by God. God created emeralds. He created rubies. He created diamonds. He created sapphire. He created all these things. So there's nothing that the enemy is using. It was not created by him. It was created by God himself. But in that time, I didn't have knowledge. I wasn't in Christ. My faith, my walk was near from Christ. I didn't even know who God, I had a knowledge of who God was, but I didn't know who he was. I didn't know I didn't know who he was. I didn't know that this was my father. I didn't know these things. At that time, Satan was my father. Because I was walking in the ways of the devil, not the ways of God. I was doing everything that Satan wanted me to do and not the things that God wanted me to do. because I was still in the world. I was drinking, I was partying, I was going to clubs, I was on all types of stuff, everything you can possibly think of. And on top of that, career that I had, me being a model, I was a model for 3 years. You're around so many different people, so many different environments, and it's just crazy madness, especially when you're in those type of things and you're not doing it for God. But I pray in the mighty name of Jesus that every spirit of darkness that may have a hold of you right now, let it be broken in Jesus' name. No devil can stop what God is doing in your life. The enemy thought he had me, but my God. Now, quickly, I began to start manifesting by writing things down. I began to use the candles now because I would look up different things, how to use candles. It was to a point where spirits would feed me things about how to use candles, what to do with candles, how to manifest with candles, how to gaze into candles, how to see. Is a way that you can see into things by looking into the flame of a candle. So you can see things. It's called gazing. If you look into a flame of a candle, you can see things in that flame. Certain ways that the candle burn, you can tell like what is happening in the spirit because of the way that the candle is burning, because of the way that the candle is flickering. It's in the fire, in the flame, that is giving you the information that you need to operate in the spirit realms. And I started using these things. And I started writing stuff down. And I started writing these things down and putting it under the candle. Now, when I started doing that, a deity came to me. So I want to go over a couple of things of before I get into the deity. I want to share a few things to you about what flame gazing is and how, you know, some of the things that people do when they flame gaze. So flame gazing, it improves your focus, it improves your mental health, and then it also helps you to open up your third eye. So that was another thing that I was into very much into, is opening up my third eye, because I wanted to see the things of the spirit. I wanted to see these deities and these spirits that I was communicating with. I wanted to know that I had power, and not only that I wanted to know that I had power, but I wanted to understand the power that I had. So I started candle gazing. This is another way that another thing that I did to open up my third eye. Another thing that I did to open up my third eye was listening to different music. I would listen to different hertz to open up my third eye. And then I got into chakras. Oh, Jesus. I was into a lot. Jesus, the devil. So the chakras that I would align. So I had these crystals that I would use to align my chakras at night and listen to hertz to open up my chakras and align my chakras in my third eye. I will put one here. I will put one here, 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 and then my lower chakra, which is the red one, which is the lowest chakra. I will put, for each chakra, I will have the different color crystals for each color of the chakras to open them up, to open my chakras up and to align them. Okay, so also when you candle gaze, it helps your senses to be more sensitive to the things of the spirit. Is an amount of time, a certain time that you will have to candle gaze, because is powerful. Truly, when you flame gaze, gazing in on alone in itself is powerful, and you can open up different things in the spirit and connect with these different spirits by doing that. That's why witches, they use mirrors to gaze, to see in the spirit, to connect with different spirits. A black mirror, a black screen, is what you use also, is another powerful way to gaze and look into the spirit. I don't want to go too deep on these things. If I could make separate videos explaining, going in depth on what the different things that I did and what happened separately, but I'm not going to do all that in this video. I'm just basically sharing you all my testimony because this is something that the Lord put in my spirit to do for a while now, and I've been putting it off. And then every time I would try to do this, I would get emotional and would stop. And it's been going on for a year. So I thank God that He delivered me. And I'm not ashamed anymore. My thing was with me sharing my testimony was me feeling ashamed. Feeling shame and disgrace. And just thinking about more so what other people would think of me instead of doing what God has asked me to do. Because what only matters is what God thinks of me, not nobody else. So, but this is to shed some light, to give you all insight, and to help somebody else in the future, or who will watch this video in the future. But mainly when you flame gaze, it helps open up your third eye and for you to see in the spirit realm. Okay, so but when I started doing the flame gazing and I started writing these things down to manifest different things in my life, the main mantra that I used to listen to was a deity that called Ganesha. I would listen to this mantra every day, and Ganesha, just a background on that. Ganesha is a Hindu god. It's an elephant, and it is worshipped mainly in Hindu communities. So what this deity does, it brings prosperity, wealth, and wisdom to you. And so that was one of the things that I wanted the most. I wanted prosperity. I wanted wealth. I wanted the money. I wanted the things. And so I would mainly do my mantras based around that deity to help bring that in. And then also Lakshmi was another deity that I would use to bring wealth in as well. When I did these things, it worked. It really truly did work, because the things that I would manifest, not only did I see it manifesting, but it was manifesting around me, and I would see how different people would move, and I would see how different things were done when I started doing these things. Things that I didn't experience before, when I started doing these things, it was like a turnaround. It was like a switch in my life. And I would see how different people will react towards me as well. And it was like different people would show me more favor than the next person, than the person that's sitting beside me. Even though these people might have came with me, but they're showing me more attention. They showing me more favor. They doing things for me more than they would do for the next person. But I would see these different things changing in my life when I started doing that. But then it was one night, right? I seen this deity, the elephant, come to me in a vision when I was meditating. Normally, when I used to meditate, I would align my chakras first, and then I would put on Hertz music to align my chakras as well. It was like an increase or something that I would do to help, empower me, or I will put on the mantras. And then it was one night when I was listening to the mantras from the Ganesh deity and aligning my chakras. This deity came to me in a vision, and I seen it come to me. And when I seen it, I was like, okay, this stuff actually works. I didn't think it worked before. It worked, but it really works. And when you do and go into dabble into these type of things, and you're trying to connect with these different type of spirits, and they see you in the spirit, they're gonna come to you, because it's not only a gain for you, but it's also a massive gain for them in the spirit. In order for a deity or a spirit to have power, you have to give it power by your thoughts. That's how spirits come into your life, because you're giving that thing power. If you give hate power, that demon of hate will come into your life. If you give rage power, that demon of rage will come into your life. You give, what do you call that when you don't have no money? Jesus. This is crazy. What is that word? What is that word I'm looking for? Jesus, what is that? I can't even think of the word. Poverty. When you give that spirit and you engage into that poverty mindset, thinking that you not having enough, thinking that you don't have enough. Always when you're in the store, oh, I don't have enough for that. Oh, I don't have enough for this. Oh, this. That's the spirit of poverty, and that's a poverty mindset that you're putting on yourself. It doesn't matter if you don't have enough. It doesn't matter how much the price is. If you want it, you should buy it and get it. Yes, by all means, be wise and smart for you to steward your money well. Because it also depends on the money, how you spend it. The money that you get, money is a spirit. Money is a spirit. It is something that you use for tangible things, but money only comes to those who know how to treat money well. Money is a spirit. So how you spend your money is exactly how money, what's the word I can put it? You treat money how money treats you. So however you spend your money and you get money, that's exactly how money will leave you. Store your money well. I'm not saying go and just spend all your money on things that you don't need. Be a steward of money and steward it well, because money is a spirit. But when you give these different spirits the power to come into your life, that's how they, stay in your life. If you don't give these spirits power, they have no access to operate in your life no more, because you stop giving it what it wants. But Ganesha is a deity. It's the son of Shiva, which is another deity. Shiva is the god of destruction. And there were things that, around that whole story that I'm not going to get into. With Ganesha is often, worship before starting new projects, journeys, marriages, when you're doing things, like business, entrepreneur, when you're doing things. And that's when during my modeling career, the Ganesha was one of the deities that I would go to get bookings. And I would get bookings left and right. I would have bookings left to right. People will contact me. I want to do a photo shoot with you. People will contact me. I want to do this with you. I want to do a video shoot with you. I want to do this with you. I need you to be in my runway show. I need you to show up here at this practice. It was left and right coming. Like left and right. And then there's also when I started my clothing line, my clothes would sell out. Like literally. So I seen that these things was working, so I kept doing it. I'm like, oh, this working. I'm going to keep doing it. So it was one night where I walked out. It was a year. This was years. No, not years, but this was a year later. Right? When I was deep into all this stuff now, working with this deity. And a year later, right? Fast forward. I go out to my car at night. I never seen an owl a day in my entire life. I never seen an owl in my life. That night, when I went outside to get something out of my car, there, and then especially where I lived at, I'm trying to think, where I lived, I didn't live, around woods. Like I lived in, like, it wasn't a city, but it was a couple trees here and there. It was a nice neighborhood. But you wouldn't think owls would be around here. Like, where did this owl come from? There's no way. But one night I went to my car. I go outside, and there was a huge owl sitting on the top of my car. And when I seen the owl on my car, I was about to grab my phone so I can record it. And I started literally jumping up and down with joy. Like, oh my goodness, thank you. I was thanking the lowercase g gods for sending this out to me. Hey, Jesus. Man, I was thanking these gods for sending this out to me because I knew at that time in that moment I was being initiated into witchcraft. When I seen this owl on top of my car, it just stared at me. It just looked at me. It didn't hoop. It was just staring dead at me. And it was turning its head. And it was looking at me. Like it knew it was sin to come just for me. And then as soon as I was about to grab my phone and take out my phone to record it, it flew away. And that night I knew that all the stuff that I was doing, it was known. I was ringing something in the spirit. And I was initiated into witchcraft that day. In the spirit, I was known as a witch. I would have these dreams. I was getting so deep into different things. Because like I said before, these spirits, they were feeding me different things. And they would show me things that I never even knew about. Like, never knew about. I would have no knowledge of any of this stuff. But I would just all of a sudden get downloads, whoosh, of a whole bunch of different stuff. How to write spells, how to do this, how to do that, this, different things. Just a whole bunch of stuff. It was a point in time where I would have these different dreams of me being in covens. And then there was a point in time where I have these different dreams of people recognizing me in the spirit and they calling me a witch. Oh, that's that witch. She's a witch. She's a witch. That's the witch. So when I started having those dreams, okay, I knew. But join me for episode 2 because it's going to get deeper. Because I'm about to be sharing a bunch of things. Like I said, this is not exposing, but I hope to shed some light on some things for others to help them have the understanding and to know that God is a mighty God. He's a powerful God. The Lord Jesus will be lifted. He will be glorified in the mighty name of Jesus. So I'm going to post episode 2 next Friday. Well, yeah, I'm going to post episode 2 next Friday. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, share with somebody who needs to hear this. It will change your life.
Oh my God, don't come here to drag for me. From Maraba to Kawaladanya, no come body. Oh my God, don't come here to drag for me. Right from Maraba small waist and let me embrace. And it big waist, big chest and come near.